Before we get into Reasonable Doubt, which I didn't realize that like last night when I saw the episode 9 last time, I slept halfway through it. So I woke up on some parts. So I didn't actually see the episode until
that could be your story for the entire season, actually.
When the kids are here, I'm up at 5 a.m. and I usually don't go to bed until 11. So like
good. I'm like 3 hours later. I'm rolling into.
But like I'm on the entire fucking time. I know you know how that is. Like doing shit, cleaning shit, organizing shit, talking to shit, writing shit, editing
starting shit.
Yes. So just tired. So like I would as I was watching the show, I'd make myself comfortable on the couch. I would have like a snack, maybe a little drink ready, and then I'd be like, "Oh, I'm into this shit."
Yes, you will go to sleep. I don't think you should be allowed to sit on a couch when you watch TV. I think you need to have one of those 1950s teacher or like librarian chairs that are just straight back. There's no armrests, and it has like the little jail bars, just wooden. You shouldn't even have a cushion. Like you will watch TV like the old time, like how the electric chairs looked.
Oh man, TC would
like the old timey like wheelchairs, like they were always like wooden and real high back. They were actually kind of luxe back then. Like, okay, I got a headrest and my shoulder blades comfortable. You should be rolled in like you're an invalid. Like, watch the show. Don't give her any snacks. Because you'll be like, you got to watch this. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, all right. And I'm like, oh my God, it's.
Oh man, TC used to get so mad because he'd be like, "Oh yeah, let's go to the movie and see this." I'd be like, "Oh yeah, we go to the movie, bring in our snacks, get some popcorn or whatever, sit down." 10 minutes in, I am snoring like good sleep. Like I wake up like, oh,
food. You can't be allowed. Your ass cannot be comfortable and your stomach cannot be satisfied. You can only watch things under duress. I need to find like a German person to be like, like you need to be under threat of waterboarding. I need like toothpicks. Like it's like, so why are we torturing her? It's the only way she's gonna watch it. You're like, I got a piece of comfort. Who can't sit on a cushion and watch it?
Clockwork Orange when the eyes are open and they did the drops in his eyes.
Yeah, it's like, shit. Oh, wait a minute. Nikki and I are going to have a night of watching TV. Could you call your cousin that's in the CIA, please, to come over?
Welcome to Tangentially Speaking, the podcast where we have in-depth and entertaining conversations with a lot of tangents that always, eventually, connect two seemingly unrelated topics.
I am Nikki.
And I'm Nita Charisse.
Today we're discussing Reasonable Doubt, a legal drama series streaming on Hulu created by Ramla Mohammed, a former writer on the ABC network show Scandal. The series stars Imayatsi Corinaldi as a corporate defense lawyer navigating challenging, high-profile cases. The series is based on Sean Hawley, a real-life celebrity lawyer in Los Angeles. Hawley is also a producer on the show. The series premiered on September 27th of this year, and the entire first season is now available. All right. So, did you tell me about this show, or did I just discuss? Who told who? You told me about the show, didn't you?
I told you about the show. I think you had seen it, probably the advertisements, because you weren't you had heard of it, but you hadn't watched it, and I was like, oh, that's something that we should really watch, just because it's in our wheelhouse. You know, someone who is around our age, and it was different, and it just struck me how it's scandalesque, but it went to places you would never see on Scandal, because Scandal was a network show, and it has a lot of scandal bones, based on a real Black woman that's shaking shit up and and is respected in like a high profile city. So I knew that we would be discussing it at some point, if not just as ourselves on this show. So I thought it was a good fit. What did you think of it?
Yeah, as soon as you hit me to it, I think I watched however many episodes were first available, maybe like the first 2 or 3 episodes were available. And then I tuned in each week to watch it consistently. And I have to admit, I was tuning in and watching it while doing other stuff because I typically have to do other stuff in order to stay awake.
We won't go off on that tangent.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Oh, we already have.
This is the truth that I understand about myself. So it's very odd for us to be doing a podcast, for me specifically to be doing a podcast on television watching when I will sleep through every fucking thing that I watch. But
I know, and I did not know that about you. Yeah. I did not know that because we've never lived together. No. Ever. And I'm like, wow, you are more like my dad than his daughter.
I will go to sleep. What will wake me up though? Like one episode I was watching, what was the episode when she first gets with Michael Ealy's character, Damon?
The second or third episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
When she first hooks up with him, I had fallen asleep on the previous episode. So I woke up to the beginning of that next episode and that song was on exclusively by Tiana Major 9.
How does that go? I probably don't know who that is, but know the song.
The song is beautiful. Let me see.
Oh, okay.
Yes. That song woke me up and I'm like, oh shit, this is my jam. I'm like, oh, they're getting it on. Okay, I guess I should be paying attention.
When you were down here, I would say something, you'd be like, wait, what? I'm like, did you watch? That happened 3 times where I'm like, are you watching these episodes? You're like, no, that didn't happen. I'm like, yeah, yes, it did. And wait, what you talking about?
Finally, I realized, because when you were talking about the end, like, oh, you see where they left off with JT and what's her name? Sherry?
Which episode are you talking about? The very last one?
I'm talking about the very last one, because you were they left the and I'm like, huh?
Yeah. And I'm like, every time I would say something about it, you'd be like, I'm like, just say you're not watching the show. You're like, no,
anyway, okay. Let's get into it. I love the show starts off. I love the opening sequence. It's beautiful. I love that they're using like animation, graphic animation. I went to school with a bunch of people who do that, sequential artists who do that shit. And I'm so glad that they're finding ways to use that art form in some other way outside of comic books, because it's just gorgeous. Yeah. You can kind of see like Kerry Washington's footprint in that way, because just everything is very sleek, everything is very polished, and it reminds me of like the imagery of Scandal. What I appreciated about this show was that it was not Scandal in the way, like with these fucking diatribes where they talk endlessly without breathing. I was so relieved. It wasn't that.
Fair, that is a Shonda Rhimes thing. That's you will find that on Grey's Anatomy. You will find that on Station 19. You can find that on Private Practice. You can find that on anything where Shonda Rhimes was in the office next door, walked down a hall one time during a writers' meeting, wherever she is. People are going to be like, no, I am not your, I am I am the hell and the high one. And it's like, sir, do you want fries with that or not?
Yeah, it's too much. Like, calm the fuck down. And then the way that people would stop and listen to this, I'm like, that's not going to fucking happen in real life.
No, it's like, bitch, if you don't get out of my way. But it has its place in that world. So, like, and this show is more realistic. Although I don't know if they would do that now, because when I recently, like a year ago, went back and just rewatched Scandal. Like, there's just certain shows where I'm just like, I want to watch it again, and I cracked up. And I remember I was not cracking up. Like when Scandal was at its height. And I think that we can all say it was fabulous, like to tune in and be like, what is going to happen now? Just seeing this Black woman, this gorgeous Black woman who was flawed. Like she wasn't like, I have it together all the time. Black girl magic. No, like sometimes it was like, girl, what are you doing? Like real life.
Yeah.
But I would get kind of tired of those monologues, especially like when it was Papa Pope, when I was like, oh my God, this is going to be at least 5 minutes. I'm going to the bathroom. But watching it back, it was like, yeah, I don't think this would happen now. People would be like, nope, I'm going to stream something else. Like, it just wouldn't. But knowing that it is only coming on right now, and I have to watch this like right now, you sat through it and it was like, this is a lot, but it's Black people on TV. You know, I'm going to sit here and watch this. So I really do think that is a Shonda thing.
Well, I'm just glad
they do it while patients are coding on the table. It's like, I know
Shit. I'm so glad that this show did not have that. Because I almost wanted to blame Kerry Washington, actually, Olivia Pope for that. but anyway, it was a beautiful. I love the main character. I love Jax because she's beautiful. She's statuesque. She's into fitness. She's doing all of the things, and she's not okay. And it was so true to life in that respect. It's like, no, you cannot have it all, and life is perfect. If you have it all, you are going through it. And so between her mom and her trifling ass and the two dads who had problems, the real dad and the stepdad, I don't even think we actually saw the real dad.
I don't think we ever saw, no, because when I thought that we would see him, because like she's supposed to go and meet him somewhere, he stood her up. So we only saw, as far as what I remember, we only saw the stepdad, but we heard about the real dad. Do you know, it took me a while to realize who her mom was. I did not realize that. That's Pauletta Washington. They got her looking old. That's Denzel's wife.
I did not know that. Like, I didn't even realize that was her because she looked aged.
She doesn't look like that. Like she's older, but that they really had her looking. Then when I noticed it, you know, her son is her spitting image. He does not look like his dad. He sounds like his dad and acts like his dad, but he looked like his mama. And once, I was probably like listening to somebody else talk about it, and they highlighted her, and they're like, "It's good to see, you know, Pauletta Washington like in this show." And I was like, "And what show?" And then I went back, and I can't unsee it. It just looks like her son with a wig on. But yeah, like she embodied that meddling old aggravating ass woman. Like she pissed me. There were so many times where I'm like, I was more angry than Jax was. It's like, my TV is in danger. This television is in danger. She made me so mad. Like, and just Jax looks like an Essence magazine walking down the street. Like, this is everything. That dress in like one of the opening scenes where she comes out and like her kids and her husband, who you don't know yet that they're estranged because it doesn't seem like it. It's like black and white stripe with that natural. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm going to love this show. Aesthetically, I love this show. It's gorgeous.
Her was killing it. Like
her shoulders, the clavicle, everything. Her skin, she's a darker skinned woman. And it is all about her. I was happy to see that. And which is so crazy that we have to still highlight that. But it's true. Like she wasn't like, okay, we're gonna put a dark skinned woman, but she's gonna be like real broke down. You know.
So I was wondering whether or not she was actually American or she was, because at first I was like, is this a Nigerian person? Because like Nigerians are all over television. You know, they're starring all over TV, and you never know until you actually find out what their name is, and I can tell by their name. Like the daughter is Nigerian. She's obviously Yoruba from her name. But Emma Yahtzee, her dad is Panamanian and her mom is American. And that made me curious about her hair. Because the one knock that I have against her was like, can we improve the wig situation? At some point?
I didn't notice that until because I actually I like the cut. But then when I kind of started seeing, I actually liked when she had the
natural,
wilder, like curly hair. I actually like that better. You know, I prefer
that better. But understanding that her character was a Black woman in a predominantly white profession in a predominantly white city, like people don't know how white LA is because it is diverse. And, you know, you have like pretty good populations of everybody there, but it's mostly white. It's a majority white city. So I understand, like, even when I had natural hair there, I was considered an oddity. And this is back in 1996.
So crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. So this woman and us, we're the same age. This woman is us. And so growing up in California and then going to college in Southern California, when I shaved all my hair off and I was sporting, just a fade, people were like, where's your perm? And also like, are you American? Because American Black women have perms. And then when I started growing out locks, like the ignorant locks the first time, people were just like mesmerized, like, oh, it's the natural state of your hair. What's going on? So I can understand why she felt the need to do that. And that's it. I gave the show kudos for bringing that awareness, and also her code switching. Like, I get on the phone with my sister right now and she will say the most ignorant shit. And she's like, I do this on purpose because at work I have to be prissy and put on my white voice. Like, what's that movie with, what's his name from Atlanta?
Sorry to bother you.
Sorry to bother you. Yes.
Yeah, where they had like white actors doing the voiceover.
But you have to do that. You have to do that in California. So I appreciated that.
And with hair too, I liked how when they show her waking up, she's got her hair tied up. Nothing turns me off. It makes me hate the writer's room more. When they show a Black woman just in the bed, like just her hair just all over the pillow, like she just goes to sleep. And I'm like, no, a Black woman, I don't care who you are. You could be a lost Black woman. You could be in a sunken place and you remember something's got to be on my head. And she had her little thing and it was cute. And I was like, but she could get up and go like that. Like, she had her hair wrapped. And it's like, that's cute enough to go somewhere. Like, it's just certain little subtle things. They're subtle, but it was very realistic. And just the way that they would speak to each other. Like, she tells her, I think it's her assistant, her assistant tells her, you have a partners meeting or like a meeting. And she's like, oh, can I just stay on the Black side of the office? And there are many people. It's like, I wonder how people from the outside look at someone like her. Oh, she's accomplished. She made it. She's at this high powered firm. And they probably don't realize how Black she actually is, because the music that she's listening to coming to work, which I did that all the time, and was in charge of small children and would have win, fuck everything, and just pulling in, and kids are like, make sure to turn that music up or I'll roll my windows down. Having confiscated the same song from a child before, like, that's just real, or smoking, like that doesn't match for many people who think that what they are seeing at work is the way this woman is at home, which I think that most folks, white folks, have the privilege of pretty much being who they are at work. Like, they might be a little more relaxed at home, but for the most part, your personality is not like completely different. And we are just putting on like all the time. So I really appreciate that. Sometimes I thought it was a little clunky.
Mm-hmm. Like when she was singing the Jill Scott song, and I'm like, we don't have to be watching her sing this at all. Like,
or for that long. Or it felt, I could see the acting. I couldn't put my finger on why it bothered me, but there were certain things where I'd be like, okay, we get it. But I would just look at that like, well, that's not for me. That's for other people. I and I can't even put my finger on why, I'm not like, I don't have an Academy Award, but I know when something feels like, what are you doing? Like, is somebody watching you right now? Yes, this is a TV show and they're trying to, this is for other people who don't know, like that happened a couple of times where they would say something. Like even her husband, because I think it's Sunday and like they're about to go to church when we meet them. And he was like, all right, now get your Bibles and let's get to church. And I knew what he was doing, but it just sounded really fake. It sounded clunky. I shouldn't say fake. It just sounded like, okay, we get it. Okay.
It was more explanation than exposition.
There you go.
Yeah. There was another thing. I think I appreciated it because it added to the cultural commentary, or the fact that so many different people are mixing in California. But when her assistant, what's his name? It's played by Tim Joe, but what was his name? her investigator.
Yeah, he's funny. I like him.
I liked him too.
He said a couple of things where it's like, oh God, this is so funny. But I appreciate it. Like everybody was not Black. Like there were like different types of people.
And he's commenting on how he's like when she said, "Oh, they've been had blah 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 blah," and he was like, "Been had."
Yeah. When I heard her say now that, I was like, "Oh, I like this. This is not like, oh, I'm watching like the Blackity Black station and station number 750. It's like, no, a lot of people are gonna probably see this." And she said, "Been had." I've never heard that on TV before. I just said it this morning, or like I hear it like in real life. But the way that you can speak that way, I have done that a million times. You speak that way, then it's like, yes, we're going to do this literacy training. I have told you a million times what my Zoom trainer voice is because it drives you, just like, can you see my screen? I'm going to share my screen. I'm just going to drop that link. I would never say, oh, I've been had that link. You ain't seen that link I dropped you. But the fact that it's like people look at that and they think that a person is not intelligent. And it's not so. Like, I'm extremely intelligent. There are a lot of people who are very well credentialed, but when you're relaxed and you don't have to do that and don't have to prove it, you're around people who know who you are and what you can do. You're super relaxed. So that was a treat. I was like, Ben had? Okay.
Yes, I love it. I loved every time she slipped into the vernacular and it sounded authentic. I really appreciated it.
Yes.
And I like how she was when she was hanging out with her friends, because so she's a little bit more intimate with the one-on-one interactions, but when you're in a group of 4 friends, then there's camaraderie there, but there's also a little bit of competition. And I felt that like that was also true to the Black woman experience, particularly in a place like that. I think what I like about the South, there is competition, but it's still a sense of sisterhood like you don't necessarily experience in California. And I think shows like Insecure demonstrated that, where, what was it, Insecure? Molly's character, remember when the new Black girl at Molly's law firm came in and Molly was trying to give her a leg up and she just didn't want to listen?
Day.
Yes, Day didn't want to listen. So it's like that. That's fucking real, because you have to put on so many masks in that state. Like just growing up there, you just have to, you're not safe. You're not safe. And it's like the higher you go, the more unsafe you are. And I like how that show did touch on that. When she went into the board meeting, she was tense. She had to put her on her game face and she had to give as much shit as she got, in order to maintain that respect.
She does. It's like constant, like, girl, I know you're tired, because she's just constantly just like having to just be, but I get it. But that's interesting, like what you pointed out about the friendship. It wasn't foreign to me, but it did strike me a little bit like, why they hang out? Like, but you're saying that, like differentiating between, I guess, the West Coast and the South, because of course I am familiar with that kind of thing. But if I have that dynamic with somebody, I don't call you my friend. And it was just weird to see like, y'all are friends, like y'all friends, and you're acting like that. I am familiar with when a group kind of gets a little too big, you may have 4, but there's always like 2 and 2 that are like, actually, I don't think that that's strange. I think that's very normal. But to be slightly adversarial is weird to me if it's not somebody who that's my friend, but it's a work friend or it's an associate. Like, or we have somebody in common, and that's the only reason why I'm tolerating you. Like, if that person's not here, I have nothing to say to you, you have nothing to say to me. So that was a little different to me, because in the South, again, there's a lot of the cattiness and the pettiness is there, and it's so sweet, but if you're calling somebody your friend, they would not be coming at you like that. Like the one chick who's with the athlete.
Yeah.
Their dynamic is like, why y'all talking? Like, but then, because I was a little bit not confused, but when they would show scenes with them alone and they're talking and being nice, and I'm like, is it because I hold grudges? I'm just like, wait, why are we not just talking like it ain't nothing? And you literally came for me or said something like not just a little shady, like it was very shady, and we're not discussing that. Her and her friend, who she's obviously closest to, even made a comment because after they finish eating, they go downstairs. I think they're like about to get in their cars, and her friend is like, well, Jax is like, she trying to come for me when yada, yada, yada. And the other friend is like, she's been trying to be your best friend since high school. And I remember thinking like, oh, so they're not really friends. Like it took me a couple of episodes to realize this is just their dynamic. That is different from the South. If I had that relationship with you in the South, we're not friends. We have something in common. Or we work together, but like, I'm not going to like call you and be like, hey, let's go to the mall. Like, we're just not. So that was weird to me because it's more like, oh, we friends, like we're sisters. That was awkward for me.
Oh, it is true to life because again, like in California, it's a predominantly white place, and folks don't know this about the West Coast, but the West Coast like took segregation and racism, and they were like, no, we're going to shine this up and make it presentable. And so like they codified racism and prejudice. They put it in their laws. They put it in the state constitution, Washington, Oregon, and California. Those are the ones I'm for sure that was happening. But I know throughout the Midwest and all of that, they codified, racism and segregation. So, living in California as a Black person, the tokenism is real because, they only let one Black person in at a time. So everybody, all of the other Black people around you are your competition. You're competing for the bag. But no one can exist by themselves. You need your community. And as Black folks, we are community-oriented people. So you have this situation where you do have Black frenemies in California. And you get together with them because you can trust them over outside.
Well, yeah.
But, within the circle, you also got to watch your back. So
that's crazy. Like that gives me a work vibe, like professional frenemies. Oh yeah. Like I actually excel that way. It's like, oh no, my shit is good because I have an enemy. Like I actually am sometimes kind of upset when I don't have one because then I'm not going to do what I'm supposed to do. like I need to have, I'm working on that.
Yeah.
like I have that something where it's like, oh, that's what you do. Oh, well, then I'm going to do this. If everything is fine, it's happy, ain't nothing getting done. Like, no. So, but that's professionally. I just feel like all up in my home. So yeah, that threw me for a little bit. And then I kind of figured out like, okay, like that's their thing. Because then they would have these moments that were heartfelt.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it like, is she lying?
But Sherry and Jax are also cousins, right? Because they kept on saying, like, I don't know how we're related. Like, I think they're related through marriage.
I thought that was the other lady. Oh, okay. I thought somebody else was saying that. I thought one of the other friends said that.
Yeah, because again, I believe that Sherry is her cousin, and that remember she was the only one that knew what happened with her stepdad.
Then that makes sense. Okay, because you don't choose your family. Okay,
no, you don't. Yeah.
Yeah, but she is aggravating. Sherry, like, it's like, girl, she got on my nerves. That one episode when they went to their reunion and they had all kind of decided sort of together, like, we're going to hang together. And then she's like one of those people where it's like, okay, so then I bring anybody. So now it's my time to shine. Girl, why? He barely likes you. And it's so obvious. He doesn't even hide it. It's just like that whole scene, I felt for her, but then it was just like, you're stupid. Like, you're just putting on. Why are you putting on like this? And not well.
I guess throughout the season, she had to make her peace with the fact that she was indeed a trophy wife. She's a Black trophy wife, which means that he was fucking around on her. She's being well taken care of, but the price that she pays is that, she's an afterthought. She's an accessory.
In the most extreme way. Like, I've seen a lot of situations where it's like, trophy wife, he's fucking around on her, but I'm driving away from me in the parking lot, and then my ass gets in the car with you after. I'm like, maybe I got too much pride. There's no way in hell. I'm not getting in the car with you. That was the most disrespectful. That was some of the most disrespectful shit I've ever seen. And then she wasn't she wasn't righteously angry enough for me. It's like, girl, do you have no, like, she's just putting up with all kind of shit. And then I kind of started to lose respect for her. But there are all indications that, if they come back for a second season, we're going to probably get to know her a little better. But it was like, are you so just in love with the little piece of lifestyle that you have access to that you will allow this to happen? And you could tell it hadn't been the first time. And the way he's talking to her, it was just like, this nigga ain't fine enough for me to turn a blind eye.
So that episode where they were showing like a day in the life of Lewis, and he ended up getting that strange that was throwing herself at him in the parking lot. Yeah, she's wild. I was just like, wait a minute. I identify with this woman a little bit too well, because she was recently divorced, and she was like, yeah, I'm taking a whole vacation. I'm hoeing now.
I get that, but the way she was...
Yeah, she was
like all up in people's face, and then that's what pissed me off. Like, you can put your head down a little bit.
She was thirsting very heavily. I wouldn't thirst that much, but I get what she was on. Like, women have needs. But that during that episode, when he explains, like, I pay for everything in the house. She don't clean. She don't cook. She's being taken care of. All she has to do is show up and look pretty, and yes, sir. That's it. So that's why she was going along with it. And I'm telling you, though, here's the thing. Because while I was living in LA, I caught the LA bug, too. That's why I bought a convertible and was driving that shit around. You want to fucking floss in LA.
No, I get it. Floss. It's fun. You're talking to the lover of very nice things. You ain't gonna talk to my ass like that and leave me in the park. I could never be a trophy wife. Or I have to be the kind of trophy wife where it's, I just can't. I can't wrap my mind around it. And then I'm still there like, where are we going? Psh, no, seriously, where are we going? I'm gone. I am gone. You at least got to come with something. But if that's the contract that she made. And he needs to look better. I'm sorry. If you're going to be whipping up on me, you have to inspire some people to be kind of like, well, yeah, she be led straight for a little while. I'm tall enough for that
let
shit.
Let the man kick my ass. He needs to look like young Morris Chestnut. He needs to look like best man Morris Chestnut.
Girl, that used to be the joke that I would make, and I stopped saying it because that's another thing that I was like, oh, I can't laugh at this anymore. I used to, and Morris Chestnut was my person that I would say, yeah, he could do that, and I'd be like, you know what? You are well within your rights. What was I doing getting in my car and leaving and not telling you where I was going? Been hitting myself, can't really do it anymore. Like, I can't do it with the gusto that I used to. But Morris Chestnut, that was like the only person where I'd be like, you know what? I'm getting a little too big for my britches. I mean, I got up and went to work and didn't tell you when I was coming back. Look, right here.
Yeah, not even Morris Chestnut. At this point in my life, not even Morris Chestnut could get away with that. But if he was cutting me, because it seems like she gets an allowance. So the house is bought and paid for. Her wardrobe is taken care of. Her hair, her wigs looked a little bit better, but I also could tell very much so that they were wigs. And I'm sorry, Black women in LA, we don't get down like that. No, like, you're not supposed to be able to tell whether or not the hair is ours or not. That's the rule in California. Mm-hmm. So
I think it's why I don't wear wigs. And you know me, I am not prejudiced against, but I don't wear wigs because if I ever did, it has got to be the best. I can't stand when I see people where they've got edges that start here and end here. And it's like, bitch, it's a wig. It is the wiggiest wig that ever wigged. It is a wig. Like, that's why I don't wear them, because I would have to spend so much money. And even I have a limit. And you know me, hair is like, there is a budget, but I'm not stupid. Like, it has to look real. It can't look like you have gelled and baby haired within an inch of your life. No. And it can't have that shiny. And hers didn't look like that, but it was just, I am choosing to believe that if and when they come back for a second season, that they will be like, and here's more money for this.
Yeah, I hope they get more allowance for that. Or maybe they did not have, I just can't imagine where the production wouldn't have Black hairstylists. There's no way that they would have all these Black people in the show and not have.
Oh, I'm sure they have Black hairstylists, but quality is quality. And they probably were like, I'm doing the best I can with this beauty store on the corner shit that you're giving me. Like, you need to have shit that is brought to you by, like, this place has its own courier service. Like,
I was just mad. What made me mad about her wigs is how the part was a different color than her face. And I'm just like, come on now. God damn it.
Are you talking about Sherry still or Jax?
Sherry, well, with Jax, at least they got wigs where you don't even see the part. So it looked a little bit more natural, but still like
But it was real stacked looking.
Yes.
Like, it was like this.
Yeah. Yeah, there's layers on it. Yeah, let's look like
it was like, I know you hot. Come on. Like, does she have like a lot of hair and it's not braided down good? Like, there's a little bit too much, you know.
And then it felt like they actually changed wigs during the season. So like she started off with one wig because the part was different, but then she switched it up. So like by the end, like the hair on the wig was flowing a little bit better. Because at first the hair was stiff. So I thought that was her actual hair because it was so stiff. But then I think that was actually the wig. So that's the only knock I have.
Look, things happen in production. It could have been like, listen, you're going to need to rock this until the other one come in because it's delayed and we need to shoot. But, you know, but she's a gorgeous woman. So, you know, like I could overlook it. It bothered me how it was kind of, is that uneven look, but it didn't look like the uneven on purpose look. It looked like somebody went, ooh, shit. They're like, we need you on set. Girl, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Just only turn this way. Like don't turn around.
She was like gesticulating while the lady went, and like the woman never said, keep your head still. She's like, is it another thing? It's just like, I think they call it for you. Don't look in the mirror.
The other thing is, well, after Damon's character, and Damon legitimately, like, after I had this thought, I couldn't get it out of my head, but Michael Ealy looks like if your brother Farron and my brother Damon had a baby together.
Yeah, that character. It's like, simmer down. Michael Ealy always plays someone who has been told that he has 28 seconds to live. And so everything you say has to bear the weight of, you got 28 seconds to live. Your dad is in a coma. You got one more thing to tell him, but he won't be awake for 62 seconds. Go. So you mean you can? It's like, what is with this nigga?
You know, initially, like early on in the episodes, he didn't come off as so intense. I was just like, oh, he's a nice guy. He's going to make a nice love interest, you know, because Lewis is tripping or whatever. And I wanted to like Lewis a lot more than I did, but I could not like him. And it was mainly because
fucking nerves.
Yeah, it was mainly because he was just like, well, I'm moving out. But then he was like, well, you need to make up your mind. I'm like, nigga, you moved out. Like, what the fuck? And then when he comes back to her, he's like, you know, I want this to work. And she's just like, I need a little bit more time. And then she's like, no, I want it to work. He's like, well, I need time. You have all this time to think about. So with Damon, though, like his character just started off so nice and easy. And I actually appreciate how like his crazy started to reveal itself a little bit more and more and more until he was brought to his breaking point, you know? And I thought that was an interesting commentary on what prison does to people. And the fact that he went to prison and he was innocent. Meanwhile, all the other people got away with their shit or seemed to easily get away with their shit. Why? Because they had more money or because they were white or because whatever.
Money. It's a certain kind of defense that you can afford or maybe connections. Those kind of people that can be like, oh, just call Judge Harley and he will make this go away. You know, like, you know, sometimes you can have all the money but still not know the right people that can like erase a fucking conviction and no one says anything about it. Like, that's, you know, power, right? Or like access. I felt like he was crazy from the beginning. I felt his intensity from the beginning. Now, this could have been Michael Ealy's kind of typecast, and I was already I mean, he was in The Perfect Man, which is probably, that's like one of those movies that's like, this is bad, but it's so good. And it's just, he was playing that same dude. So I think I was already like, this nigga gonna be crazy. I knew it from the beginning, like, this isn't gonna be a normal thing where they can fuck and then like he's kind of sad, but he moves on because he's looked in the mirror and knows what he can do. It isn't going to be normal. It's like, yeah, she's beautiful, but do you know what you look like? Like, do you not have mirrors? Like, I don't get it. I just knew he was going to do exactly what he did. The only thing that surprised me was like, you know, it wasn't over the top, but it was like, man, this dude, he was like wrong and just sat in his wrongness and had the nerve to be like righteously indignant. Like, nigga, you're crazy. Like, when he erased the messages, I'm like, oh no. But I saw that from the beginning. It just looked like all he did while he was in that cell was, you know, think about her and hold his crotch like the whole time. Because I was like, why are you talking to him? This dude is, you know, they sort of like signaled that the other guy was gonna maybe be crazy.
The security guard?
The security guard. Who I didn't blame her one bit. I'm like, oh, that's me. like my type. But like when he was like, hey, I made you breakfast and got any oregano, I'm like, nigga, what is wrong with you? Yeah, like he was way too comfortable. It's like, you know that her husband be here. Like you just saw him the other night. Like they don't have the kind of relationship where he like knocks on the door. Like they look, when we meet them, they look married. I mean, like married and like living together. So where he got the comfort level to just be like that was crazy to me. Like, why didn't you dip as soon as y'all were done? What is wrong with you? And I was also like, what are you doing for breakfast that requires oregano? I was a little intrigued by that. Because even she was like, the spice, which made me think, did she think he was referring to weed? I really like want to know more about her response there. Because when he asked for oregano, she was like, the spice? And I was thinking, she's either confused like me, like, what does that mean make for breakfast? Or you want bud?
Okay, but you know what? Like, after watching it the second time and paying attention to all of those things, like intently, her mania or her propensity to be manic was also revealing itself too. Like after she got it on with Damon, how she kept wiping down that counter. I was like, bitch, ain't no more your sex on that counter anymore. Don't nobody know. The way that she was looking at the camera when she was fucking Will, you know, and entertaining Lewis. And I'm just like, okay.
All of this up with y'all. Problems. I'm just trying to imagine my partner. Like, yeah, this is not a kink that we can ever engage in. Everything would have been torched. Like, I think it would have been like the sun in the magnifying glass when I look at that camera, like, yo, everybody's there. Are you kidding me? And then he's sitting there smiling. And that is probably like my one knock on this show. I don't think their dysfunction was clear enough. Like, I don't think they spent enough time there. And I can't even give them the pass of, oh, well, they're going to delve into it in the second season. I don't think it was rounded out enough. Like we could see that he was annoyed with her job, but like, if you're going to be like fair to a character and make everybody like nuanced, like, okay, you're getting on my nerves, but I kind of see your part here. They kind of Tyler Perry'd him. It was like, okay, so you just mad that she works? Like it was really strange. Like,
yeah,
you know, but then she made this comment about him, like, oh, we used to always do this. Or like, used to, like, I forget what the comment was, but it made it seem like this is it. Like he's watched you do this before. So then it's like, okay, well, where does that fit in? And did you leave just so you could get more shit like this? Like you no longer wanted her to be in cahoots. It was just really strange because then I was like, it isn't weird for him to have a security system on the house, but it is weird for you to watch her in the house. And also, you know, if you just still lived there, you wouldn't have to look through the camera. You could just see her in person. What the fuck is your deal? It didn't make sense. And it didn't not make sense in the way of, oh, this is a part of his character. He's an asshole. It was like, did y'all not finish this? Do y'all know why he's doing this? Like, I don't feel like the show gets him either.
Yeah, I don't think he was fully realized, and maybe he will be fully realized in subsequent seasons. But I think they tried to shoehorn in what his beef was in that same episode where he got the strange. And it seemed like he was just like, well, I'm the jilted wife. You know, I sacrifice all of these things for her career to take off. I'm like, really? Like, I know so many niggas in California who have been perfectly fine with that. Like, oh, I can stay home with kids and make up video games and they want to do that. The Will moving in like right away, like, yeah, we're an item. That's a truism in California too. from the black,
the housing is so expensive, and people are like, "Whoo, fine, they take a load off." Like that was crazy. Another person that I was like, "Do you know what you look like?" Like, do LA niggas not have mirrors, or are the attractive ones? Is everybody so attractive that super attractive men are like, "I'll never be number one," and it's like you need to move. Like, you would clean up.
So the one thing that I've noticed in LA, like the last time I was there, none of the black men, the younger black men anyway, dated black women. They dated Asian, Latinx, or white. I didn't see any young black couples.
Please see episode 3, season 3 of Rappin Atlanta, our other podcast. Continue.
Yes. So from my personal experience, I remember when I was in college and I met a guy named Samuel. He was an expired rapper. He had a son with a woman who was also a rapper. And
wow.
Yeah, and I met him at a gas station, and he latched the fuck on. He latched on because I think that what he saw in me was a woman who had her own shit and was doing her own shit and didn't want nothing from him. And so he was like, I don't know if I'm going to find this again. And the thing is, like, yeah, there are a lot of black people in California, but the communities are still small with comparison to the community at large. So it's a very small community, and finding a sane person. And I know this, dating in Atlanta, there are a lot of eligible bachelors in Atlanta. And even now I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to deal with you. Like I can't deal with y'all, Right. So that pool is even smaller in places like LA. So this dude was probably like, this is a fine ass woman. She's older. She's got a straight head on her shoulders. She's sexy. She's got her own shit. Let me latch on, because the probability of me finding somebody else like that, pretty small. So I've seen that. I've witnessed it.
Her coworker, the guy who was more like a civil lawyer,
yeah,
he was distracting as hell. He was like a great value Don Draper. I was confused the entire time I was looking at him. I'm like, does anybody else see that this is
a great value Don?
Go back and watch it. His voice sounds exactly not like John Hamm, but John Hamm as Don Draper. Did you not? He sounded exactly like him. Every time he spoke, I wanted him to talk about Kodak. I'm like, his face just a little bit wider. I swear to God, even when they would show him, the cinematography on just him looked like, is he in a black and white movie? You didn't see that? He sounded exactly like him, like, well, Jack, so what do you mean? And I'm like, what's going on? Like, it was one of those things where I felt like, is somebody messing with just me? Like, this is great value Don Draper or John Hamm. Even his hair. Go back and look at how his hair looks. That's not a current hairstyle. I don't study white men that much, but he looked outdated.
See, that's why I laugh, because anytime, man, and see, am I really becoming this person? Because it's now like, oh, black people, Superman, white.
You don't see a certain type of color. Every time he spoke, I was like, did they get John Hamm? Oh, they're going straight to the top. And I was like, it's not John Hamm. Is that his cousin Dave Hamm?
Dave Hamm. No, it's Tony Hamm, the little brother.
Reminds me of when, there's James Franco, and he has a brother named Dave Franco that has been in stuff. And when you see him, it's like, oh my God, yes, how did I not know that was James Franco's brother? And I don't know who said this, if it was Seth Rogen. Somebody was like, Dave Franco, that sounds like something that somebody made up, like, oh yeah, I'm the brother, Dave Franco, but that's really his name, it's Dave Franco. And he looks like him, but he's like a lot shorter.
I actually like him better than James Franco.
Oh yeah, because especially like what we've learned about James Franco, like James Franco needs to go sit down somewhere. Like, oh, you're a problem, but not surprised. But anyway, yeah, Dave Hamm is distracting as fuck. You need to go back. Look, every time they would shoot to him, it looked like, no, we're in an old movie. It's like, is everybody gonna start like talking really, really fast and saying like. It was like, I'm in Mad Men and the rest of you are in Reasonable Doubt, but I'm just here to hang around. His hair wasn't from now. It looked like the 50s. or like 60s. Like he didn't even, so it's especially noticeable when he had those scenes with that asshole, the white guy who was like the business partner. Yes. Because it was like, this is a white guy from right now. And this dude is his dad when he was young.
Wait, so are you talking about, is his name Rich Reed? Is that his character?
I forgot to look it up, but he's the guy who had the case. And then when it became a criminal case, she took over. And he was almost kind of like threatened because, you know, it was her case. It was kind of like, move over. You know, it's like there was actually a discussion about it where he kind of had to admit like she is the better lawyer. Okay. And it's not just how he looks. When he talks, he sounds exactly like John Hamm as Don Draper.
It's his widow's peak. That's what it is. It's his widow's peak. Because I'm looking at a picture of him. This is the first time I've actually looked at him because, again, like now, like I'm just turning into a reverse racist where I'm just like whatever.
You can't be racist, but anyway, we can be prejudiced as hell. So, but racist, no.
I swear, like the other night when I went swing dancing, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, there's this guy that I danced with. He was really good. I think it was that one over there." And she was like, "No, you danced with him," and I'm like, "No, it had to be him because he's the one wearing the light shirt, right?" And she was like.
You know, he's wearing a polka dotted and plaid shirt.
I'm like, they look exactly the fuck alike. When my mom and I were television shopping, we went to Costco and we saw a TV at Costco and we're like, okay, let's price shop. Let's do price comparisons elsewhere. Then we came back the next day because they had the best price. And so I walked up to this guy. I was just like, hey, you were helping us yesterday. And he was like, I'm like, how are y'all all starting to look alike now?
No, there are studies. So that thing where it's like, oh, like y'all think that we look alike. There are studies that have found that everybody does that to any group that is not them. So like Black people do it to white people. Like white people aren't the only ones. They're just, you know, they're white. So like they get it more, but we do that to anybody that's like not in our group. We're like, how could you think that we look like? We look so different, but then we'll do that. I do that all the time with the comedy bros. I'm like, oh, is that white guy? And they're like, no, it's the other white guy with the beard and the plaid shirt or the flannel shirt. And I'm like,
I'll at least have them like, okay, dark hair, dark facial hair. And he was wearing a Costco fucking uniform. So I'm just like, what the fuck? Like,
you ain't worried about him. It's not important to you. It's not saying it's right. It just is. You're just like, I don't know, it's already white.
That little like weird lip swagger thing that they do sometimes. The young bearded ones of them walk. I sound totally horrible right now, but I'm sorry. I cannot tell that. How are you different from the other one? Like, don't y'all have a mind meld? Like, just help me with the fucking television, whatever.
Like, yeah, I'm not helping you with shit, lady. I'm holding back because I know the history of this country, and I guess I kind of get it, but I'm a human being, and my feelings are hurt. Like, let me go get Derek for you. Derek, who's always late and never gets to work. Not being racist, it's just true.
Like, is there a Chad or an Amy here that can help me? I'm like, I'm sure one of y'all.
You are embracing your oldness with the fervor. Like, you are like the white people that are like, I can say nigga. Just get it with gusto. Like, I've been given a pass. Nigga. I've been given a pass. You can't kick my ass because here's my pass. It was signed by Trevante. I've been given a pass. Trevante's my cousin. And that has been an ad for Ancestry.com.
Let's go into our rating. How do we rate this show?
My ratings, let me make sure, because I kind of kept going back and forth because I did feel a little differently about it when I went back to it. So I want to make sure I don't lie. I give it a 3 out of 5 stars, which is put on while you're doing work so you can occasionally, you know, engage in it, or not occasionally engage in it, but like I could be engrossed in something else and still watch it and follow it. when I watched it a second time, I was, paying more attention. There were things, like little small things that I noticed that I didn't notice before, but it is not a terrible show. I'm excited for it. I want it to come back, but I'd be lying if I said I was just like, my phone is across the room charging and I am in this. It wasn't like that at all. Cause I could kind of like come out and dip back in and I wasn't lost. Like certain things might be confusing, but it's streaming. It's like, well, just rewind it. Like it isn't like I have streaming shows that I literally watch when it's midnight, when it's a minute after midnight and it's available, then I watch it. This wasn't one of those. It's like, this is like one that I save for like, I will watch this on Friday and it'll be fine. And I'm into it. But the minute it goes off, it's all falling out of my head. I don't remember anything that happens really. Like it doesn't stick in my brain. So
I feel you on that. Well, I vacillated between 3 and 4 as well, because I did tune in on a weekly basis to catch the next episode. I was doing stuff while I was watching it, sometimes sleeping. But that's neither here nor there. The point was I was looking for it, and I like the show because it was so Californian. And it reminded me of home. I like the characters, even though some of the things that they did got on my nerves. So like the first time I watched it, I would give it a 3. The second time I watched it, I would give it a 4. So my rating is about 3.5. Like this is a show that I'll look for the second season and I'll watch it. I'll probably.
Yes. Yeah. Like I never felt like, oh, this trash. Never. Like I would be excited when there was a new episode. When I watched the first, 3, and I didn't realize that they were going to be doling them out. I was disappointed that it couldn't go to 4 because what that show was effective at was leaving you hanging on that episode. It's just that I wouldn't think about it during the week because the minute it goes off, I'm not thinking about it anymore. But while I'm in it, I'm in it. But I had to kind of keep it at 3 because overall, it was not on my mind really that hard. But I appreciate the Blackness that was injected. Like there are real Black people, or non-white people, working on this show. So, and then just in the real scheme of things, I'm glad that it's on, that the woman who is the center of it is a Black woman that I can identify with, not just because of age, but just like, it's like she's a regular Black woman, but fabulous. Like, you know what I mean? Like from the outside, it looks like she has it all together and she doesn't. And that's real, but I'm glad she don't look broke down. Like she's not like dealing with all, like her son, like wasn't just murdered, like in gang violence and like all this stuff. Like there's enough of that. And then she's also not like perfect either. Cause that's not real either. She's got serious problems and she's like messing up and not communicating. And even though I don't think that her husband's character was like really that rounded out, I do identify with like what can happen at a certain point when you've been married for a while. And like you can like take each other for granted or just kind of just like the best, most understanding people like can fall into just like, oh man, hold on. Like we need to get a handle on this or, like it could all just blow up. Like, so that resonated with me, just the not communicating or just misunderstanding. And then it like goes left, So I appreciate it. I mean, I think this is a good, strong first season, Yeah,
I think overall for this to be the initial season, they did a good job in having like overarching authenticity. There was a few misses here and there, but for the most part, if you grew up in a certain generation, if you're our age, definitely you will identify with this. And if you're from California, you will definitely identify with it. So yeah, I would say watch it. If you loved Atlanta, you'll enjoy this show.
Yeah. And if you like Scandal, you will enjoy this show. And I appreciate how it's updated. Like, if you watch Scandal and, you're tired of monologues, watch this show. Because this show doesn't do the monologues. She gives a quick little thing and just keeps it moving, which is, ain't nobody got time for that. Like, everybody's on TikTok. They're not going to listen to your monologue. They're just going to, like, swipe up. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about.
You know what? I feel like it's a nice marriage of Insecure and Scandal. There you go. That's what it is.
Yes. It's like Molly and them, like, later.
Yeah.
When they've had a kid. Like, it's Issa and Lawrence A little like later on down the road, Molly and her dream husband, which that was a perfect couple, a little later down the road, like where you couldn't imagine that you would ever like feel like this. Oh, I don't know why people have such a hard time in marriage. Like, cool. And then it's like, oh no, you need to check in. Yeah. Like, you're over here and I'm over here. That is real. And last thing, I also appreciated how they left a really good hook into the next season. I thought that was well done. Like, okay, they have to have a second season. It isn't unbelievable. And it's going to like shift to someone else that we've kind of gotten to know. And so now I'm excited to see what is happening there. And like seeing maybe that character in scenes like by herself. Mm. So if you were on the fence about this show, we are telling you that you should watch it. And it's okay to have your phone because you can rewind. Y'all don't even have to wait for the episodes. They are all there for you.
No, if you're prone to sleeping, through episodes.
This is not for your people, no.
No, because you can rewind it. You can get up and rewind it. Which is what I did.
Okay, but if you are doing that, tell your friend and not be like, oh, wait, no, what you doing?
Look, don't lie about watching it. I watch it again. So I was like, okay, I'll figure out what the fuck she's talking about.
Thank you for listening to Tangentially Speaking. This podcast is recorded and produced by Nita Sharice and Nikki Ebo. Our theme music is Lush Living by Martin Landstrom. Our artwork was created by Prime Vice Studios. You can learn more about this intellectual property development agency at primevice.com. Find us on your favorite podcast player and YouTube. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And be sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter.